Hey y'all. I know I've been MIA. But you know on Thursdays I don't have a choice but to come on here because I need to do my what? My book review. So if I'm on here to do my book review, that means I'm what? I'm live. So hey y'all. Hey y'all, hey. I haven't been on here in a while. I think since the end of the week. And today we're doing the book review. Have y'all seen the book No Boundaries? Set Boundaries? So that's what we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about today, and I'm looking forward to it. Hey coach, how you doing? If y'all are just sliding in, today is all about set boundaries, find peace. We're doing the book review today. Hey beautiful. We're doing the book review today. I think, hold on y'all, I need to come over some because I need to see. Hey, we're doing a book review today. We're doing 7 through 10. We're doing our book review today for myself and 50 Shades of Lee. We're discussing the book review today, and it's really good. It's all about, let me see, I sent notes this time. Blurred lines, make it plain, all about boundaries, the trauma and boundaries. What are you doing to honor your boundaries? And family and boundaries. So those are the things that we'll be discussing today. I'm just waiting on Lee to jump on here so we can start the conversation. How's everybody doing today? How y'all doing today? Kimberly, how are you doing today, gorgeous? How are y'all doing today? Who's all joined us? Okay, sounds good. All right, Lola is on here. Good. Yeah, we want you to join in the conversation. Now, we want you to join in the conversation because when I tell you that we've been reviewing this book for the last 2 Thursdays, we do this book every Thursday. And so we sit and we just discuss the book and we talk about what's really going on in our lives and how the book really helps and breaks down things that we should be doing in our lives and how to set proper boundaries for ourselves, with our family, with our friends, all of the above. So it's really good. And it's just a book review. It's like a book, almost like a book club. I mean, it's really almost like a book club. That's all it is. So that's what I'm doing. How did y'all pick? Who did y'all pick for the Super Bowl? Did y'all get who y'all wanted to win on the Super Bowl? I did, because you know Jalen is a Texas boy, so it was perfect for me. It's great to see him making his rounds. His PR team, I was just there for Kendrick. She said I was just there for Kendrick. And he showed up and showed out. He sure did. So, yes, I was there for him too as well. And he did a phenomenal job, which I was really happy about. Who else? Hold on. This thing. Oh, I had to come back in. Sorry, Kim. Yeah, he was really good. It was really good. What, were you busy today? How was work? How was work? He did. Yeah, he did. He did a great job. All the naysayers and people complaining. Don't care. Excuse me, y'all. Excuse me. But yeah, Kim. So Kimberly, you know I be fussing about my daddy, right? I'm always fussing. He won't let me bring my puppy still. I need to ask him because my nephew just said that, well, my nephew's wife said that they're leaving for out of town this weekend, so I got to get my puppy. So I need my daddy to let me have my puppy this weekend at the house. Well, I've asked him twice now, and he's already said no. I've been here a month and a half now. Yes. Right, Kimberly? Uh-oh. But this morning, when I woke up this morning, when I was on a call, and he had come back into the house, and I was like, what is he doing? Girl, he had put a balloon, a card, a Valentine's Day card, and some roses on the bar. So I was like, oh, I can't even get mad at him. I'm such a daddy's girl. So I'm going to have to really, really beg today. Yes, for me. For me, girl. So now I'm going to have to really beg today, Kim. Because he tell me no, I'm going to be real upset with him. I mean, she's not going to do anything. It's not like she chews on anything. She's not going to be going anywhere. She's nothing like that. You know? So, I got to ask today. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice because the big thing is, where's she at? You on? Hold on, let me text her and see what. Hey, lady, where I'm on, lady. I'm on. So, oops. So we're gonna talk. Let's start talking about the book. So have y'all read the book? Set Boundaries, Find Peace. Have y'all heard of that book? Have y'all read the book at all? Because that's a book we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. For the last 2 weeks. And so this week she talked about, Chloe and Ray. Chloe and Ray were always doing they were always doing some crap. And boundaries are unclear. So Ray was the brother. Chloe was the sister. Ray never set clear boundaries. Ray never said clear. Here she comes. She just said she lost track of time. Ray never said clear. No, Chloe never set clear boundaries on what, she really was expecting from her brother, because her brother was always coming at her. He didn't know how to communicate. He didn't know how to talk to her. He just thought, because I'm your brother, I can just do anything and say anything. And some people need to realize they can't do that. Do y'all have anybody in y'all's family that does that to you? Clear boundaries are important. Do you have any family members, Kimberly? You do have family members that disrespect you, that don't understand. They don't understand when they really cross a set boundary that you've implemented in your life. Or they intentionally do it, like they intentionally cross your boundaries. And I think that's where, because I had somebody that used to be like that. They were always crossing my boundaries. And I think I just come to a conclusion that I didn't want to be bothered with them anymore, because they didn't understand that I have very clear and concise boundaries. And our relationship was not taking the going on the path that I wanted to go on anymore. And so, did you cut your family member off? Did you cut your family member off? That's the question, because that's hard. Because we pick our friends, but it's our family members sometimes I feel like we're stuck with. I'm just cordial to keep the peace. And sometimes that's even hard. That's hard for me, because I kept the peace. I ain't gonna tell you when, but I had to keep the peace. And it's almost like they're being shady, because you're keeping the peace when they're the ones that are wrong. They're the ones that have been wrong. They're the ones that have been doing shady stuff. You know what I mean? Here comes Miss Lady 50 Shades of Liz on deck with us. And they're the ones that, they're the ones that are being shady, but you have to be cordial. Make it make sense. Hey, Lee. We
Hey,
missed.
can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I am coming on. I look a mess. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Hello. Hey. You want me to just do it? No, it has to be today. It has to be today. Okay. 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 All right. I'll call you back. Okay. And just send the zip code and CVC. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Bye bye. Sorry. Hi, dear. I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm sorry. I look a mess.
It was my client, and I had to take his call. You've been working on a project.
Sorry, I got so much going on, but I'm here.
You've been working on that project?
Yes.
Yes, Kimberly, I had to get the money. I needed to be able to charge my payment. So tell me what I need to do. Send me the card. And I needed to get it when he called. So yes. So we were sitting here discussing chapter 7 already. We were sitting here discussing chapter 7 with Ray and Chloe.
Okay. Hi,
And
Ray.
Hold on, I can barely hear you. Is it me? It might be me. Yep, it was me. I could barely hear you. There you go. And we were just discussing how family members, if you don't set yourself with clear boundaries with your family members, they will cross them.
Yeah. I was that story with Chloe really resonated because you don't want to dislike your family and you want to be there for them, but when boundaries are crossed or blurred, as she referred to it, it's like, you feel stuck. What do you do?
Yep.
And
so at that point, like she said, no one is a mind reader. Like he wanted people to read their minds and just instead of just saying point blank what it was. The other thing is I don't discuss my personal life. She said I don't discuss my personal life at work. I'm not available after hours. I can't lend money. Like she was very clear. That was the one thing that I did like about Chloe. She was clear where Kyle wasn't.
Right.
And what were your notes?
I'm trying to I may have to dip out and grab my glasses because I ran in here without my glasses on.
Oh, go ahead. Go grab them. I know you
got them. I'm going to try to say a few things while you're talking. I'm going to go grab my glasses.
Okay.
But there was one part that really resonated with me that I wanted to talk about. Going back to the blurred boundary, because the blurred boundaries really stood out for me because I feel like, as you know, as we've been talking the past few weeks, that I'll set boundaries, but I'm not settled in them. And I will bend them depending on the circumstances. Okay. And so I was reading through the blurred boundaries breakdown, and I see it happening with people in my life, the gossiping, and how that can blur some boundaries and pull you into conversations you don't want to be in or knowledge that you don't want, telling people how to live their life. And people will feel like they can just offer unsolicited advice, yes, or even put their own values on me. So that part really stood out for me, and how sometimes we have to refresh and reiterate our boundaries to people. And it's okay to do that. And so that, yeah, that really stood out. I have action items, things I need to do.
Okay, so you've decided from that the things that you need to do in order to really move forward.
Hmm. Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
And those are
yeah,
great things. Those are great things because some don't. They don't know how to do that.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And hmm and I think that and I think I shared this the last time, that sometimes things, I've noticed things will be uncomfortable in my body, but until reading this book,
Hmm.
I didn't realize that it was the person was crossing a boundary.
Okay.
I just thought it was like, oh, I'm just kind of picky, or maybe I don't like that person. But it's like they were crossing a boundary, and my body and my mind was reacting to it.
Mhm.
That was a boundary for me, you
Mhm.
know? So,
Okay. Well, you go grab your glasses and I'll start in on chapter 8.
okay. All right.
Because you kind of so Lee kind of, you go ahead. Lee kind of covered each one of the things that um Nedra was telling us to look at and look for when we feel like somebody's crossing our boundaries. When it feels like we're not speaking up or we're not communicating what we need to communicate. So those are the things that we need to look at when somebody's crossing our boundary that is a brother or sister. These are brothers and sisters, and they also can cross a boundary. We have to remember, we have to speak our mind, because they can't just read our mind and say, "Oh, I'm hurting her feelings." Well, how would she know you were hurting her feelings if you didn't tell her? So that's a way, and that's how Chloe felt about Ray. She didn't set clear boundaries with him because that was her brother, and she felt bad. Okay, so chapter 8 is trauma and boundaries. We're talking about Amber. A lot of people have a lot of unresolved boundaries. A lot of unresolved boundaries. And sometimes your trauma will come out and will not display the boundaries you need to make you feel safe. And so, with that, we have to remember those things that we've internalized had done to us, things that has not made us feel safe, that we need to look at how we respond to things and how we put people in a certain in a certain boundary, or give them certain boundaries, because we were trauma led. These were things that were in trauma.
Yeah.
So what were your notes on it?
I'm sorry. You're on chapter 8.
Yes, I'm on chapter 8. We're discussing Amber and her 3 homes that she had been moved around in. She had gone through 3 different homes. She had, and all 3 of those homes had 3 sets of rules. So now we got to think about kids. They've already been traumatic with the divorce. Now they're having to manage 2 sets of rules and 2 different sets of homes. And that's kind of how she was until she got into the last home when she was molested. And then she had all the trauma she had gone through, and she had to be self-sufficient and hyper independent. And so when she hit 32, 33, it was another whole set of boundaries that she needed to create. So
Right.
that was my kind of synopsis of it. You go for it.
So in chapter 8, I think what stood out for me was, and I've heard about this, but I haven't really looked into it, with trauma and attachment styles, and identifying different attachment styles, and where you may land, or someone you've been with may land, but and recognizing different things that they do. So
Okay.
when I was listening to that chapter, I was thinking about the my attachment style, and then people I've been around, and where they land. But trauma can create those attachment styles.
Because people will,
Unhealthy attachment styles.
yes, because people will trauma bond. And I don't think that people realize that they're trauma bonding. So hi everybody, if you're just joining us, I'm Deshawn, that's Lee. We're having a whole discussion. We do this every week on Thursdays. We have one more week left. I think Lee forgot about that.
Oh, okay.
One book, we got one more left. It's chapters 11 through 15. That's the last one. But today we're reviewing chapters 7 through 10 of Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And it's the author is, of course, she's a Black author because it's what? Black History Month. And so we wanted to make sure that we covered a Black author. Black author, her name is Nedra Glover Tawwab-breaking. And so we want to make sure that we are honoring her and also saluting her for this amazing book. It really is eye-opening. It really allows you to really look at every aspect and relationships that you have and the boundaries if you're really setting good and clear boundaries for yourself. We just covered chapter 7. Chapter 7 was blurred lines. Are you blurring the lines when you're not being clear about your boundaries? Chapter 8 right now is trauma boundaries. So Lee is going to break her thought process down of chapter 8. I just gave her mine. Now she's going to go for hers.
Okay. So again, thinking about talking about the attachment styles. And so trauma can create, affect how we attach to people, how we relate in relationships, and can minimize the boundaries that we set. And so the two unhealthy attachment styles that the author focused on was the anxious attachment. So thinking about yourself in a relationship or someone else, it doesn't have to be you, but someone who's constantly seeking validation. They do a lot of self-sabotaging behavior, continually threatening to leave the relationship, over-focusing on certain things. There's an anxiousness of energy that they bring to the relationship, having paralyzing fears and things like that. So that's one of the anxious attachments. And then there's another unhealthy attachment is the avoidant attachment, where they're constantly looking for reasons to leave a relationship or why it's not focusing or what the negative aspects of the relationship. Thinking no one is good enough, always just looking for the escape, right? And so these unhealthy attachment styles create rigid boundaries, right? And so we talked about healthy boundaries, like that help have a good, healthy relationship. It helps create peace in a relationship. Rigid boundaries are walls and they keep people out. So think about like the boundaries that you have. Are they keeping people out, or are they helping you to have peaceful relationships with people that you want in your life? And sometimes when we have an unhealthy attachment, again, we create unhealthy boundaries that are walls that are just literally keeping us from having good relationships. Some of us are single and not understanding, why or what's happening. Look at your attachment style. And if you're keeping people out that really want to come in. Another thing that she talked about in this chapter was, again, when we think about trauma, there's often secrecy attached to trauma. Okay. And when we've all heard it, what happens in this house stays in this house. We're taught sometimes at a young age, the stuff that we've seen happening in our homes, we're not supposed to talk about. And so knowing how, as an adult growing up with that mindset, how do you communicate in a healthy way, your boundaries, right? When you're kind of taught, like, don't say too much, don't talk, hide things, and learning how to be assertive and direct when you've grown up in a household that taught you how to be secretive.
I think for me, and I can only speak for myself, it took me moving away from the state.
Mm,
It took me moving away to be able to be strong enough to um have good healthy boundaries.
yeah,
Because I don't think I had clear and concise healthy boundaries
yeah,
at all.
yeah. It's really sad, and because a lot of things are established in our childhood, and one of the examples that she gave was if you were a child and you tried to tell a parent or your mother that something has happened to you, and she dismissed it or didn't believe you or told you to be quiet. And then as an adult, if you're being mistreated or abused or something like that, you feel hesitant to even share that with people because you weren't really believed. Your voice didn't matter as a child.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So true. So true. So true. So true. So healing means recognizing these patterns and making a change.
Mhm.
Trauma responses like people pleasing, avoidance, and over explaining. I used to kind of over explain myself. That was one of my things I used to do.
Yeah. I do that for no reason. And I need to stop.
You
And
think?
so,
Why do you think you do that?
I think going back to one of the things we identified in our first discussion, that I try so hard to, well, I try so hard to be the good girl and the girl that doesn't rock the boat, does everything right. So if I have to say no or not do something that someone asks, I feel like I have to really like give a good reason why I'm saying no, you know?
Yeah. Yep. 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 Well,
Yeah.
chapter 9, we are going into the halfway point. Let's hit chapter 9.
There's one thing I wanted to touch on before we move to chapter 9, if we have
Okay, go for it.
the taking care of yourself, what that looks like. And she has a list of things
Yes.
that and I thought some of these were like really interesting. Um one of them, um where is it? Sharing the truth of your past without sugarcoating your experience.
Mm,
Isn't that deep?
mm.
Sharing the truth of your past without sugarcoating your experience. Because sometimes we don't share how bad something really was. Like, yeah, I went through a divorce and made it through and it was okay. But no, like if it was traumatic to you, honor yourself. Um,
I think that some people don't want to feel judged.
mm,
So
yeah.
that's why they don't tell or they don't say
Mhm.
anything because they don't want to be judged about it.
Yeah.
What's another reason that somebody wouldn't tell
Or sugarcoat.
or sugarcoat?
I think some people just, I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we have survived through. And so we dismiss it like it wasn't, I made it through. No, that was traumatic. And I think especially people of color, we go through so much trauma. Like what we're witnessing right now is traumatic, but we learn how to push through instead of sometimes saying, no, this is traumatic. To watch the news every day and have the most powerful person in the world basically tell you you are not worth anything, you're not smart.
Yep.
It's traumatic.
It really is. It's torture too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mind game, it's torture, it's all of the above.
Yeah.
It's all of the above. And it's heartbreaking because um you would think that with all the people around, they would get involved and do something. but they're not.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're leaving you out in the cold,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that's hurtful.
Yes. That's why I'm kind of like very distrustful of everyone around me right now because I'm like, I don't know
What you up to?
planned. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know really what you're up to. And I can't say definitively that you would actually have my back,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
So I think that's why people are kind of laying low because they want to see what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
And these people talk a great game, but they've shown us they've crossed boundaries that they can't come back from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are boundaries too. Those are clear boundaries that we're setting in. Us 92% are setting in the sand. We are setting clear boundaries that we are not doing something. And I think, as what we've been discussing, people don't like when you set clear boundaries and you
Absolutely.
don't change them. They're not moving. Clear boundaries in the sand.
Right. Right.
And that's one of them. You know, us setting clear boundaries of we're not coming, we're not moving, I'm not doing this, I'm not. That's a clear boundary.
Yeah.
And that's part of one of those things we just talked about,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, so moving into chapter 9, what are you doing to honor your boundaries? So this was with Kyle.
Yep.
Kyle was a hot mess. Kyle lived above his means. Kyle wanted to be flashy, be seen, and he never wanted to deal. He really didn't want to deal with the things he was doing, his trauma, and he felt like living on the outside, looking good, was great, but not dealing with what was going on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he thought his father wanted him to see. So his father decided he wanted him to see somebody. And so he went to go see who? He went to go see Nedra.
Yep.
And when he went to go see Nedra, she saw the facade.
Mm-hmm.
There was a facade. And so all of us have somebody in our worlds that are living in a facade.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Absolutely. Most people.
Yeah.
And social media doesn't help, you know.
Yep. Social media has allowed people to live in facade land. You know, when I moved to New York, it was a lot of people lived as a facade, and it was disheartening for me. So New York was really hard for me when I first got there because I guess I had put up all these expectations. People had made it seem such a thing that they were doing and moving and shaking and where they lived, and it was a facade.
Yeah.
A lot of it was a facade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were really stressed. They were really coming home, working 2 jobs. They really weren't happy. They really weren't doing things. And it was disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this was 12 years ago. It's not like it is now. A lot more people are doing the things they really want to do because I found that circle. But when I first moved there, people were not doing the things that they were saying they were doing. And that was
Yeah. You see that a lot. I mean, I spent most of my life in Atlanta. And so that was definitely the thing there because, you know, Black people prospering, doing their thing. And then you pull back the curtain and you realize it's not all of what you think. Yeah.
It's not all glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
And I think reality TV allowed a lot of that.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I think reality TV allowed those blurred lines or doing how to honor yourself. I think reality TV, you know, kind of set the stage for the way that Kyle lives.
Yeah, for sure.
So what were your thoughts on chapter 9?
It was a good challenge where thinking about those areas of my life where I need to honor my boundaries. And it's interesting because I was talking to my husband a little bit about it, and he we were talking about my body and gym and working out and all those things, and he brought up the point of you're doing so much of other people's stuff and doing other things that you're not taking care of what's most important to you right now. And so I felt myself getting defensive, like, what do you mean? I don't want to give up this. I don't want to stop this, but I think honoring your boundaries is also knowing the priorities in your life.
Yes.
So her outlining the different areas, finances, time management, self-care, I really thought through the boundaries in each one of those areas.
Excuse me.
And then as she goes on in the chapter about how to reestablish and restart those. But yeah. So what about for you? Any of those categories stick out for you?
I think it was more so finances for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I need to get a handle on it. I need to stop living in la la land. And I think I did that yesterday because at first I was looking for a job, but I really wasn't. I was just like, I'll keep doing this. I'll keep doing side hustles. Then I was like, I can't do it. I need to get back into the workforce. So I had I said that and I ended up having an interview.
All right.
Literally, I literally posted my resume on Airmark's website and ended up having an interview for a general manager position. And so it was just like, I have to get my mindset on setting some clear boundaries for myself and my finances, and understanding that I got to get back on track. This is not a norm for me, and I can't allow this to be a norm.
Yeah.
Are
you still in Texas?
Oh yeah, this is where I'm going to be. I'm
okay.
here.
Yeah. I'll make sure. Okay.
I'm here. Yeah, I canceled the car. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. That's one, too, just understanding that I'm needed here because I've been paying attention to a couple of things with him. And so I need to stay on top of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with staying on top of that, that means I got to be here. And if I got to be here, I got to be working. Period, point blank.
Yeah. Yep. And I love the other boundaries that under self-care that she encouraged people to think about, with self-care and taking care of yourself.
What that really looks like.
Huh?
And what that really looks like.
Right. And I like the one point was I mind my business, because sometimes we in everybody else's business and we wonder why we're stressed out and taking on their energy and their thoughts and all that other stuff. I make tough decisions because they're healthy for me. I really needed that because I need to, sometimes tough decisions, I will disappear, not want to have to do it, but that's part of self-care. And when you don't make those tough decisions and you're just carrying around all that weight in your head, no, that's not taking care of yourself.
Because you're not sleeping, you're anxious, you're stressed out, you're eating for no reason, you're doing all the things that are not healthy for you. And that's because you have not set boundaries for yourself. Yeah. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. And so for me, I think I think that's a big one for me because I need to move. I need to start taking steps. And so yesterday, me taking steps was hard, but needed.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest changes I want to make in my life is I don't run away from the hard things, you know, just deal with it head on.
And do you know why you want to run away from the hard things?
Um, I don't know. I think sometimes, I don't know how, how do you, if you know something hard is coming up, are you running toward it or how do you feel about it?
For me right now, the hardest thing for me right now is my puppy and my dad. That's the hardest thing for me right now, and I'm gonna have to deal with it head on. I don't have a choice,
Yeah.
you know. And typically, anything else, excuse me, I kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm a person that kind of deals with it. I want it over with because I don't want to have to stress about it. I think
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing because I'll stress about it. I'll have angst. I'll be very anxious.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that's my biggest thing, just dealing with it.
Well, that's good.
What
Yeah.
about yourself?
Um, I think the hard things for me, I don't have any hard big things in my life. It's the little things that trip me up. So it's like I'm having guests come this weekend to my house. I have a big presentation tomorrow. I'm dealing with some hair issues. Like I have all these little things and I'm like, I don't want to deal with any of it. I don't want to clean my house tonight. I would prefer to have a quiet house this weekend. I got to deal with that. I've got to deal with this hard DEI presentation that I have to do for leadership tomorrow. Like those are the little things. I just don't want to deal with them.
So, one, do they have to stay at your house? Because remember, she talked about that.
I do.
Remember, that was one of the boundaries, family boundaries. She talked about that.
Yeah.
Remember? And that's what you're describing is what she said you would have going on. You would be anxious. You would avoid. Those are the things that's happening right now to you.
Yeah. Yeah. But I have to.
Said I have to. Okay, so they have to stay there. Then, unfortunately, you're gonna have to tackle one of. You're gonna have to at least tackle one of them. We already know you're gonna have to finish its presentation tonight. We already know that, so that's gonna be done. Why can't you just call a cleaning service?
I thought about that, but I think I'm too late now because they'll be here tomorrow evening, and
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I can see if somebody can. I just have to spend time tonight looking for.
All you have to do is get on Thumbtack. Get on Thumbtack.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Quit making excuses. Get on Thumbtack. Schedule it out and be done.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
Be done.
Right.
Don't second guess it. Get on Thumbtack. Oop, found somebody. Done.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. I'm gonna do it as soon as we get off.
Yeah, and you'll have somebody like that. Hey, girl. Hey, Angel. And then guess what? It's done. It's a done deal. You don't even have to stress about it.
Yeah.
You know. So check one thing off your plate.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you guess what? People are coming, but the house is clean.
Yep.
All right. Last thing is chapter 10, family.
Yes.
You're just coming in. Hey, thank you. Hey, so if you're just coming in, thank you for coming in. We are discussing chapters 7 through 10 with the book of Set Boundaries, Find Peace. We are on chapter 10. We are on chapter 10 right now. We've covered chapter 7, Blurred Lines, Make It Plain. That was with Chloe and Ray, their brothers and sisters. That chapter 8 is Trauma and Boundaries. That was with Amber. She had various traumas throughout her life, and they were the author was giving her steps to get through because she was very self independent, hyper independent because of the trauma that she had been through. And chapter 9 is what are you doing to honor your boundaries. That was with Kyle. Kyle was the person that always put on a facade. He was a person that always looked good on the outside. He always needed to spend money to make himself feel good, but his insides were trash. He didn't feel good about himself, and she really gave him the tools to set him up to move forward with his mindset and how he was moving. She really set him up to and help the relationship with his father because he was using his father all the time to go run and get money. Every time he go spend up all his money when he made some money. So that's the kind of gist of it. Chapter 10 is all about family. Now, what did you think about chapter 10?
Chapter 10 didn't really resonate too much with me, so you might have to talk more to this, only because I have a pretty healthy boundary with my parents. But I will say, actually, now that I'm saying it and thinking about some of the stuff in here, I will say as growing up as a teenager, I am close, but I was close to my dad, but he treated me, and a therapist told me this too, he treated me more like a friend than a daughter because he would overshare. Mm-hmm. And so that was a boundary that was probably crossed as a child. I mean, not in an inappropriate, nothing like that.
No,
but
I understand.
Yeah. So, but right now, I think I have healthy boundaries. And even with me being in a new marriage and I was reading about the in-laws, we're pretty good at keeping people out of our business, not oversharing. No one's popping up without calling, anything like that. So,
okay. So you have a pretty healthy relationship, but James, Tiffany, and Deborah, not so much.
Right.
So James was dated Tiffany and then married Tiffany. They dated and married, and James always consulted his mom before he talked to, he talked to Tiffany. Mm-hmm. He also took advice from Deborah, who was his mother. He always took advice from his mother. He was a mama's boy, pretty much. He was a mother's boy. That was one. Two, he always, what did I put on here? James allowed Deborah to sway his vote, his decisions on anything and everything. James didn't really give Deborah clear boundaries because he had already invited her into their relationship. And Tiffany was pretty much sick of it. She was fed up. She had had enough. And so they were discussing having kids. And, I think Tiffany was like, I can't bring kids into this relationship at this point because you don't have clear boundaries with your mother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the one good thing I can say is I'm not like that. I have very clear boundaries with myself and my son's, whomever he's dating, because you're grown, that's your relationship, leave me out of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm very clear about that.
Yeah.
I think some people don't have a life, and so that's why they stay involved in their kids' lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or I have a friend who her in-laws, and not just like the mother-in-law and the father-in-law, but it's like the cousins-in-laws and everything, they call and kind of like gossip and pull her into family situations in her in-laws family.
Wow.
And I can tell it's draining for her. And that's a boundary. Like, I'm just now realizing that's a boundary that they're
Right.
crossing.
That's a red flag. That's a boundary that they're crossing. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And so that's the other thing, you keeping people outside of your relationship. Oh no, them kind of family members. She said, oh, look, Angel said, oh no, not them kind of family members. You protecting your relationship. So that means you're not using your parents as confidants. And that's what James was doing. He was telling Deborah all his mom Deborah all his business.
Right.
And so she was the one who gave him the money for that down payment for the house. So that made her feel like she had a say so in their lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that. Just parents overstepping in adult children's lives, siblings expecting finance and emotional support, toxic cycles being passed down as normal. And I think she did that a lot. She did a lot of toxic things. And I don't think she understood it until he started setting boundaries. And then when James started setting boundaries, she took aback. She was not okay with him setting boundaries with her because he wouldn't tell her about them wanting to have a baby and what was going to take place. And I think that's because he never made her understand that you're my mother, but she's my wife.
Yeah. Yeah. How you started, you got to set those boundaries in the beginning.
Exactly. And that's the big thing I think that people miss. How you started is how it's going to be because you didn't set clear boundaries. I saw this girl, I gotta find that clip. I'm gonna put it in here. Of this girl and her boyfriend's mother, her husband's mother, got into like a physical altercation because the mother was always coming over unexpectedly in their business. Yes, she was all in their business. And they ended up having an altercation. I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And she kept running up on her and doing stuff and thinking, oh, I'm older, so I can just do anything to you. And that was a clear violation. And it was because he didn't set up clear boundaries.
Right. Yeah, clearly.
He didn't set up clear boundaries. Well, I want to say thank you for tonight. I know Lee has a huge, huge report to get done. And she needs to get on Thumbtack and find her a cleaning
I'm going to do that tonight. And I'm going to find someone who can braid my hair this weekend in Nashville so I can deal with my hair situation.
Okay, so there you go. You can find somebody to braid.
Anybody know any braiders in Nashville? Let me know. Inbox me.
And all you have to do actually is get on here and do hashtag Nashville Braiders.
Okay.
That's all you got to do is do Nashville Braiders, or get on Instagram and do hashtag Nashville Braiders or Braiders in Nashville, and you'll see some pop up. Okay. Or you can go to Style Seat.
I went to Style Seat.
You didn't find any?
I was starting to go down that road and I got distracted because nobody had availability and I was just like, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna spend some time and get it done.
Yeah, or you might have to find somebody for Saturday early morning.
That's what I want.
Yeah, so keep trying. You got this. It's coming. You'll find it. Don't worry. Positive thoughts. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lee, for joining me. As always, we will see y'all next week for our last episode, our very last episode of us doing a book review on Set Boundaries, Find Peace. Yeah. Set Boundaries, Find Peace with who? Nedra. There's the book. Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab-breaking. So that's the book that we've been discussing. Um, and the last chapters are chapters 11 through 15. That's it. We are
That's it.
done. We did it. We've been doing this. This is the third week we've done this. So this was a great breakdown of this book. She is a phenomenal author. She has another book. She's a phenomenal author, and I'm glad we did this. Thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate it, Lee.
Thank you. You all have a great evening, and I will report back next week how I knocked out all those tough things and set some boundaries. Because, when you have people in your house for the weekend, you got to set some boundaries.
You do have to set some clear boundaries for next
This is going to
week.
be a big test for me, so I'm going to let y'all know how it goes.
You got this. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. This book was really good. It was really informative. It really helped. Okay, so in the chat, if y'all are still in the room, in the chat, have y'all had anybody that crossed a boundary with you in your family? If you did, put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because that's what the book is about. Actually, when you set clear boundaries, you will see how much peace you will have in your life. Because if you don't set clear boundaries, you will see that there will be no peace because it gives you anxiety. You start eating crazy. You start doing things that's not healthy for you because you haven't made people understand that this is a clear boundary that they're crossing. So that's it. That's all. Hey, Angel, you still here? How was your day? How's everything going? Everybody, if you're still here, let me know that you're still here. If you're still in the house, let me know that you're still in the house. I just want to say thank you, though. If you're still here, thank you. If you're not, I appreciate you for coming in, sliding by, and saying hello. My name is Deshawn. We read today was our book review. It was over Set Boundaries, Find Peace, 770. What's 77? Chicago. Chicago? Is 770 Chicago? I might have got it. 770. I think it's Chicago. Is that Chicago? Is that Chicago, Debbie? Is that Chicago? But yeah, this was fun. We're going to be back here next week for Set Boundaries, Found Peace. That's the book we're reading. The next chapter is 11 through 15, and we'll be done with the book. I hope to see you here. If you can, join us. We look forward to having you. Thank you again, and good night.